Coming up on Mountain News at 6, with rain approaching the mountains, we hear from one fire department about what they are doing to be prepared for the moment. And a Senate bill designed to strengthen water and environmental protections passes legislation.
And flood watch goes into effect soon, so do some flood warnings. Details coming up.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Amelia Lee. Heavy rain is expected to arrive in eastern Kentucky soon. Earlier today, Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency due to potential flooding risks folks could see this weekend. Meteorologist Eric Dean is keeping an eye on this situation on the first alert weather day we're in today. Eric, what can you tell us?
That's right, Amelia. We do have advisories going to affect. Some start tonight, some are in effect now, some will start Sunday. Take a look here at the advisory map. The flood warning for Mingo, Martin and Wayne County in West Virginia begins Sunday at 11:15 and goes until Monday night. Martin, Mingo, and Pike County will go into effect Sunday morning and goes until Monday morning. Now, the flood advisory that's in effect for Floyd County is now in effect and goes until Saturday afternoon. We have a flood warning in effect for Estill County and Lee County, Kentucky. The one in Estill County is now in effect and goes until Wednesday morning. The one for Lee County, Kentucky will start Sunday morning and last until Tuesday afternoon. And then finally, we have the one for portions of Whitley County as well as Knox County. The one for Whitley County is now in effect and goes until Monday morning. Knox County begins Sunday afternoon and lasts until Tuesday morning. Now, for the complete list, we have the latest information on WYMT.com. Everybody is under a flood watch that begins at 4 o'clock Saturday morning and lasts until Sunday night at 10 p.m. We are seeing a few little splash and dash showers on live pinpoint and Doppler radar. Some of this is not hitting the ground. It is being picked up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Again, that flood watch starts at 4 a.m. tonight and goes until 10 p.m. Sunday night. I'll have the complete first alert forecast coming up in a few minutes. Amelia.
All right, thank you, Eric. Well, first responders in our area are doing what they can now to prepare for the possibility of flooding in the mountains this weekend. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino spoke with folks who could be on those front lines.
Crew members with the Jake Branch Fire and Rescue Squad are not wasting any time when it comes to preparing for potential flooding.
We're trying to be as well prepared as we can for our community in case of emergency.
The county helped provide proper equipment since the July 2022 flood, such as a new boat. And Jake's Branch is one of the 3 departments in the county that has water rescue equipment available. Crews say they will work together if the time comes to get the job done. Dylan says he and his crew are hoping for the best, but they are preparing for the worst. They have several lifeboats ready to go. They have certified water technicians ready to respond at any given moment, and plenty of other water equipment and flotation devices. Times of uncertainty like now can be nerve-wracking, but Battalion Chief and his crew say, rest assured.
We want the community to know that we are going to be here. We're going to be here ready to respond if needed.
From checking fuel levels in emergency equipment tanks to rounding up water gear, they are one step ahead, and they encourage you to be too.
We don't ever want to lose a life, and that if you do ignore a flash flood warning, that could potentially be you laying in bed, not preparing yourself, but you need to prepare now.
Dylan says to move your pets and/or animals and vehicles away from flood-prone areas, such as a creek or flowing water, and have a plan in the event that you may need one. In Perry County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
It is also important to check in on your neighbors, elders, and people around you in the community. With the potential weekend floods in mind, county leaders are encouraging community members to be prepared. With rivers throughout the region already rushing at a higher level than usual and more rain expected in the days to come, Floyd County Judge Executive Robbie Williams says people should be prepared for flooded rivers, creeks, streams, and more. He says now is a good time to make sure you have the items you need in case roadways are left underwater.
You know, just those things that you ordinarily do. I don't think that we need to get too excited about what's going on here, but we certainly need to, to understand that the potential exists for this to be a severe weather event.
He says flooding in some capacity is likely unavoidable. And while Floyd County may not see the hardest hit areas, like neighboring Johnson County could see higher water levels. People in eastern Kentucky are keeping a close eye on the weather in the wake of what happened just a few years ago. Deadly flooding devastated parts of Breathitt County. That's where a shelter has already been set up on high ground. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to people who are making preparations.
But there was so much debris.
Upper River Caney Road was one of the hardest hit areas when deadly flooding struck eastern Kentucky in July of 2022.
As the water came here, there was a trailer that sat back here that completely washed away.
People are still rebuilding and recovering from flooding in both 2021 and 2022. And now there's the concern of more flooding this weekend.
And we are warning people the water levels that are projected is very, very close to the flooding that happened in Breathitt County in 2021.
A shelter has been set up in this community. It's going to be at the gymnasium at Lee's College at Hazard Community College. That'll be open at 9 o'clock tonight, available for anyone. There's also going to be a one-call system, and people are encouraged to call a telephone number if they are feeling overwhelmed. That number is 988. It's a national number, but there will be a local response.
When you call 988, it rings to your local community mental health center. We have already had the conversation with our Kentucky River crisis team. They are on standby.
Understanding it's difficult to prepare when you're still in recovery.
We had several fatalities in this community, and that's another reason that it's very hard to watch the news today. That brings back not only the loss of their homes, but the loss of their loved ones.
Hoping what happens this weekend is not a repeat of what's happened before. In Breathitt County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
One of the deaths from the flooding in Breathitt County was Vanessa Baker, whose body was never recovered. In Mingo County, West Virginia, police say they found human remains in the Dingus area. Deputies with the Mingo County Sheriff's Office say they've made the discovery yesterday evening. The West Virginia State Police crime scene team were called to assist in the investigation. A man was arrested in connection with an animal cruelty case in Estill County. Police say 85-year-old Bobby Osborne abused several dogs and one horse. While serving a search warrant, police found dogs with clear signs of disease and poor health. Osborne is charged with 18 counts of animal cruelty and 17 counts of dogs not being vaccinated against rabies. He is currently out on bond. A Clay County man is facing charges in connection with a Jackson Energy propane tank taken from a telecommunications service provider. Deputies with the Sheriff's Office received a call about the matter this morning. Police later found the propane tank at a home on North Highway 421 behind a trailer. 54-year-old Leslie Roberts of Manchester was charged with receiving stolen property. He was taken to the Clay County Detention Center. A bill to clarify the definition of state waters and establish stronger protections for long-term water treatment in mining operations has passed in the legislature. The bill, known as Senate Bill 89, is sponsored by Senator Scott Maiden. The bill updates the state's environmental laws to provide a more precise definition of waters to the Commonwealth to ensure consistency in regulations. And here is part of what Senator Scott Maiden had to say about the bill passing legislation. He says, quote, "In places like eastern Kentucky, where mining is part of our history and economy, we need to make sure companies take responsibility for long-term water treatment if it is needed." Senate Bill 89 puts stronger safeguards in place while keeping regulations fair and straightforward. One bill filed yesterday could keep some police records out of the public's hands. House Bill 520 would allow police departments to keep documents private only if they contain information that could harm investigations. That could include information about department weaknesses, strategies, and the identities of witnesses and informants. Those records would become available once an investigation is finished. Kentucky is seeing another low recidivism rate. Governor Andy Beshear made that announcement during yesterday's Team Kentucky briefing. The governor says out of nearly 13,000 people to be released from state custody in the last 2 years, nearly 9,000 have not returned. That makes the current recidivism rate just less than 31%. The governor credits second chance opportunities for the drop.
Through second chance opportunities, we've reduced recidivism. And we know that getting a good paying job is one of the most important steps to not only our state's success and the success of our people, but the success of someone who leaves prison to not reoffend.
To further lower recidivism, Governor Beshear's administration is partnering with Ashland Community and Technical College to offer a new online degree for some inmates at Little Sandy Correctional Complex.
All right, first alert weather days are still in play for tonight going into Sunday as another round of rain will push through. Flooding will be a main concern. We'll time everything out with Future View coming up in just a few minutes.
And services at a fire department in Floyd County are up and running again. We hear from the fire chief about returning to operation.